Hello folks, it's Jim Hansen, and the elephant in the room today is President Obama's inability to articulate a strategy for Islamist terrorism. Now, he caught some well-deserved heat for his stunning statement that we don't have a strategy yet for ISIS. Don't try and blame the Pentagon. They'll tell you how to do it. It's your job to tell them what you want done. The fact is, you do have a strategy for dealing with Islamist terror. Drones and airstrikes, and pretending that we're not at war. The problem is, it's failed spectacularly. There was a time where people were calling him the chess master, moves ahead of all his bumbling enemies. Well, after 6 years of foreign policy debacles, our enemies running rampant, and bodies piling up all over the globe, I think the opinion of an actual chess master is sadly apt. Obama swept into office as the light bringer, the one who was going to cool the earth and make the oceans recede. The problem is, he believed his own PR BS. He assumed his noble, or Nobel, presence and the mellifluous tones of his voice would be enough to make the need for war anachronistic.
I pledge to bring the war in Iraq to a responsible end.
Let us responsibly end these wars.
So he went about ending our wars. He took all our troops out of Iraq, paving the way for the growth of ISIS and the hell on earth that has become. He's put Afghanistan on the same path, and the Taliban are resurgent and returning to their evil ways. And he spent the intervening time patting himself on the back for all of this, as if he'd actually brought the milk of human kindness to all people.
Former soldiers laid down their arms. Men and women wept with joy, and children finally knew the promise of looking to a future that they will shape. So let there be no doubt, the tide of war is receding.
That the tide of war is receding.
The tide of war is receding.
The tide of war is receding.
Somebody should have told him that tides ebb and flow, and what recedes will certainly rise again. He decided that with war ended, the military was no longer a priority, and that budget acts came swinging. The guiding strategy document for the Department of Defense opens with President Obama politely telling DoD, maybe you guys should hold some bake sales to buy aircraft carriers. He pulled us out of the fight and declared victory. But you see, the enemy gets a vote, and they voted for jihad, and they voted for a caliphate, and they voted for beheadings. Wars don't end, Mr. President. They are won or lost. And right now, we're losing. Your strategy of ending our wars didn't work because the enemy didn't end theirs. But the sign of a wise man is recognizing his mistakes and adapting. So it's time for a new strategy. As I mentioned before, that's not the military's job. You tell them what you want to accomplish, they'll tell you the best ways to do it. So let's first of all decide what the goal is. Now, this has always been a weak spot for you, so I'm going to help you out. The goal is to halt and reverse the spread of Islamist extremism worldwide. The intent is to boldly state that this is a war between cultures, freedom against barbarism, and that we will use both soft power and the hardest of hard power to crush our enemy. The soft power strategy is to denounce and expunge the inhumane practices and traditions of Islamist extremism. Things like child rape, female genital mutilation, enslavement, honor killings, and the extermination of anyone who belongs to another religion. We need to stand up and call it a war on Islamist extremism. And we need to marshal all the elements of free society, TV, Hollywood, the media, academia, government, and all members of polite society to shun anyone disgusting enough to belong to a cult like this. We need to make it worse than being a racist, misogynistic, gay-bashing child molester. And sadly, those are some of the evils of the disease we're setting out to cure. The hard power piece of this is simple. Declare all members of these groups hostis humani generis, enemies of all mankind. The term came from admiralty law and referred to pirates, but it seems even more apt to apply it to a collection of savages who claim that all mankind must either submit or be destroyed. So there you go, Mr. President, a fully formed strategy. Name 'em, shame 'em, cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war. Any place they run up the black flag, we rip it down, kill 'em, wrap their bodies in it, and feed 'em to the sharks. We didn't choose to make this a war between cultures. They did. And now, the elephant in the room is going to trample those medieval obscurantists underfoot.